Okay, so quickly, just before we get into this, it is absolutely pouring here, and tech shed is not a lie. I'm literally in a shed, and it's got a tin roof, so I don't know if the audio is going to be a little bit crazy. Anyway, this is the Galaxy Z Fold7, Samsung's newest foldable, and it's probably the most polished version yet. It's still doing the book-style fold thing, still massive on multitasking, still very much a niche device, but the Fold7 takes some meaningful steps to make that niche a little more appealing. So let's not beat around the bush and get straight into it. This is the Z Fold7. Hit that subscribe button. Welcome to the Tech Shed, and I'll try and make sure the audio works in post. Let's get into it. Woo! All right, price and competition first, because let's be real, this thing is ridiculously expensive. In the US, it starts at $1,999 for the 256GB model. If you need more space, the 512GB version will set you back $2,119. And if you want the truly ridiculous 1TB, 16GB RAM combo, you're looking at about $2,419 US. That's a chunky price tag. Now, in regards to competition, Google's latest, the Pixel 9 Pro Fold, is a strong contender, sitting around $1,799 for the 256GB model and $1,919 for the 512GB model. Bear with me, a lot of numbers in this part. Then there's the OnePlus Open, which is frequently available for $1,299 for the 16GB RAM, 512GB storage model. It boasts crazy fast charging, though you do lose out on wireless charging and official water resistance compared to some rivals. So yes, the Fold7 isn't the cheapest, but in the US, you've at least got options. And if you can get your hands on it, the Oppo Find N3 is another strong rival, while not officially sold through major US carriers or retailers. Now, the first thing you'll notice is it's most definitely slimmer. Folded, it's 8.9mm thick, which is a big improvement on last year's chunkier design, and unfolded, it's just 4.2mm, and it's lighter too, at 215 grams, which definitely makes a difference if you're carrying it around all day. But here's the trade-off. The new hinge makes it close completely flat, so there's no gap between screens, and folded, it looks great and does feel premium. But if you don't have long fingernails like me, it can be quite annoying trying to pry this thing open. It seems like a minor problem, but it actually got quite frustrating. Still, the materials are top tier: Armor aluminium frame, Gorilla Glass Victus 2 on the back, and Gorilla Glass ceramic on the front. There's also an IPX8 water resistance, but there's no dust resistance, so you definitely don't want to be taking this to the beach. Now, the cover display has grown a little. It's now 6.5 inches, and it's also wider with a 21.9 aspect ratio, which means it actually feels more usable for day-to-day stuff. So typing isn't as cramped anymore, and apps, they do scale better. It's a brilliant improvement. Inside, the big foldable screen is 8 inches when flat, with less of a crease than before, though of course you will still notice it, especially if the light catches it. But to be honest, once you get used to it, you do barely know it's there. Both screens hit 2600 nits peak brightness, which is pretty crazy. Outdoor visibility, it's excellent, not a problem. And both screens run at up to 120 Hz, so everything feels super smooth. Now, you can still run 3 apps side by side, drag things between windows, or prop it up in flex mode like a laptop. None of this is new, but honestly, it still feels like the best reason to buy a foldable. You're getting a phone and a mini tablet in one, and it genuinely changes how you use your device. I use a foldable, and I haven't gone back since using it. Under the hood, it's powered by the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 Elite for Galaxy, so you're getting a custom-tuned chip that's just fast. There's no better way to put it. It's fast. Samsung's claiming up to 38% better CPU performance and 41% better AI performance compared to the Fold 6. And in practice, everything flies, as mentioned. Multitasking, gaming, AI tools, it handles it all. We tested the 12GB RAM version, and it never really felt like it was even trying. Games, video editing, bloody good. Now, the rear camera setup includes a 200 megapixel main sensor, a 12 megapixel ultra wide, and a 10 megapixel 3x telephoto. And honestly, it's solid performance across the board. The main sensor captures loads of detail, and low light's cleaner than last year. The ultra wide's decent with a bit of softening on the edges, and the telephoto is sharp at 3x, but don't push it too far beyond that unless you want that grainy digital zoom look like you would get with any phone going beyond its telephoto capabilities. Now, selfie-wise, there's now a 10 megapixel punch hole camera instead of the old under-display one, and images are way better, way sharper. And yes, both front-facing cameras support 4K 60 frames per second video, while the main sensor goes all the way up to 8K 30 FPS if you're that kind of person. Now, it's running Android 16 with One UI 8, and all of Samsung's Galaxy AI features are here. Photo Assist, Audio Eraser, which I'm probably going to have to use to get rid of this freaking monsoon on the roof, Circle to Search, Live Transcribe, they're all here. You've seen them all before if you've used a Galaxy S24. But new this year is something called Gemini Live. Now, you hold down the power button and Google's AI assistant will pop up, not just to answer questions, but to actually see what's on your screen or even what your camera is looking at in real time. So let's say you're reading an article, scrolling through Instagram, or even pointing your camera at a menu or a sign. You can ask Gemini questions like, what does this ingredient do? Or can you summarize this? And it will respond right there on screen without switching apps or tabs. I used it on YouTube, asking what video I should watch based on the mood I'm in, and it gave me some pretty good answers. Now, it's a very sci-fi moment. It's quite crazy. Like having a digital co-pilot who's aware of what you're doing, not just waiting for commands. It's a little bit freaky. Now, of course, it's also early days, so sometimes the responses are spot on and sometimes they're a bit wrong. But when it works, it's genuinely useful. And thanks to the Fold 7's larger inner screen, there's actually space to multitask while it's running. It makes the whole AI assistant thing feel a lot more integrated, in my opinion. Less like a gimmick and more like a productivity tool or something like that. But as mentioned, this isn't unique to the Z Fold 7. You can do this on other phones as well, so take it as you will. Now, unfortunately, the battery is still a 4,400 milliamp hour battery. I still don't know how to say that. It's the same as the last few models, but I would have liked a bit of an improvement there. Now, Samsung claims the more efficient chipset means you're looking at a solid day of normal use. And to be fair, that's probably true. If I gamed a little bit, I couldn't get a day. But if I was just, scrolling the web or answering emails, replying to messages, I did get basically a day's worth of use. Maybe more if you're not hammering that big screen all day. Open up, bigger screen's going to use more battery, obviously. Now, charging hasn't improved, and that's a big disappointment. It's still just 25 watt wired, 15 watt wireless, and 4.5 watt reverse. It's getting a bit behind the competition, and of course, no charger in the box. Not ideal. And just a quick note, there's no longer any S Pen support with this version, so there's no silo, no compatible case, no writing at all. If that's important to you, this could be a deal breaker. If not, you won't miss it. So after all that, what's my verdict? What's my final thoughts? Well, the Fold 7, it doesn't really shake things up massively, but it does absolutely refine the foldable experience. It's thinner, lighter, faster, and more useful than ever. No, it's not perfect. That hinge is awkward to open and the lack of S Pen will sting for some, but overall it's the most practical, well-rounded fold yet. If you're into multitasking, if you want a phone that doubles as a tablet and you like the idea of using your phone in ways that your normal old boring slab phone just can't match, the Fold 7's finally starting to feel like a normal device, and it's starting to get away from that niche idea. So that's my review. Thank you for watching. If this helped, give me a thumbs up. If it didn't, feel free to ask any questions down below. And why not consider hitting that subscribe button? We're so close to 1,000 subscribers. That's been the Tech Shed. I will see you in the next one.